Today, we're bringing you up to speed on the Greater Moncton Real Estate Market. Hi there, we are Denise and Marc, a husband and wife real estate team in the Greater Moncton area, and today we're reviewing the first quarter of 2024 in our local market.
Let's get right into it and look at some numbers, starting with detached homes. A total of 449 homes were sold between January and March. That's down 3% from last year, so it's pretty well flat. There were 716 new listings, however. That's up almost 19% over last year. So when you think in terms of supply and demand, those extra listings have certainly helped fill the demand. We can see the same message when we look at months of inventory, which is when we calculate how long it would take to run out of inventory at the current sales pace if there were no new listings. We're now at 4 months. It's not a big change from last year when we were at 3.8 months, but again, it tells us that we seem to be heading towards a more balanced market. Anything in the 4 to 7 month range is considered a balanced market. 0 to 3 months is considered a seller's market, and on the opposite end of that, 8 months or more would put us in a buyer's market.
Now let's talk prices. The average price of a detached home in Greater Moncton currently stands at a little over $372,500. In the first quarter of 2023, the average was just under $317,000. So we're up substantially so far. I suspect that will even out a little bit as the year goes on. The volume sold in the first quarter of a year is generally lower, so just a few homes sold in the higher end ranges can have a bigger effect on the average. The most active price range was in the 300 to 400 range, followed by the 200 to 300, and finally the 400 to 500 range. One thing people often are curious about is whether or not homes are still selling over asking. Well, we have the answer. 70% of the detached homes sold in the first quarter of 2024 sold under asking, 10% sold exactly at asking price, and 20% sold over asking.
Now keep in mind that over or under doesn't always mean thousands of dollars. Sometimes it can be as little as $100. Overall, detached homes sold in the first quarter fetched 97.1% of their list price. So that's pretty well the big picture on detached homes. Now let's switch and talk about semi-detached homes. A total of 88 semis were sold. That's down about 11% compared to the same period last year, while new listings are up 21% at 126. So here again, we're seeing what seems to be somewhat of a shift with supply slowly catching up, although we have a long way to go before the semi market is considered balanced. We only have about 1.8 months worth of inventory available and are very much still in a seller's market. That also seems to be keeping pricing up. It continues to be so interesting to see such a small difference in the average of a semi versus a detached home. The average price so far this year for a semi is $371,769. So compared to the $372,500 Denise just mentioned for a detached home, we're only talking an $800 difference.
It's a little mind-blowing, I have to say. But there are a few reasons for that. First of all, because of the increase in prices in the last few years and competition in the more affordable price ranges of detached homes, semi-detached homes have become a popular option in the last few years as a way for buyers to get into the market. The irony is that because of their increased popularity as an affordable option, the demand is outweighing the supply, which of course translates to increased prices. Mm-hmm. Secondly, a few builders have picked up on their popularity and shifted some of their focus from detached to semi-detached. So with relatively low numbers of available listings and new builds generally being in the highest price bracket, they tend to bump the average price up quite a bit. The most active price ranges in semi-detached homes were exactly the same as detached. 300 to 400 was the most popular, followed by 200 to 300, and finally 400 to 500. 35% of semis sold below asking price, while 20% sold at asking and 44% sold over asking. Now, there's a little caveat to the ones that sold over asking. Most new constructions do not include appliances, so what will often happen is buyers will want to add them into the purchase price. When this happens, a home might show that it was listed at $440, but it sold at $450. Sure, it sold for $10,000 over asking, but there might have been $10,000 worth of appliances included in the sales price.
So we're curious, the current going price for a brand new semi these days is right around $450, give or take, depending on the location and features. $450 in a detached home buys you a nice place, but probably a little older and possibly in need of some updates. So would you buy the semi or would you buy the detached home? Let us know in the comments.
So looking ahead, what do we see in the coming months? Well, for one, we're into the spring season now, so things have definitely picked up. For buyers, depending on the price range, you may still be facing some competition in multiple offer situations. Anything below $400,000, particularly in or close to the city, is still very competitive. Once you get above $400,000, it's not necessarily as busy, but like we talked about earlier, in the first quarter of 2024, the $400,000 to $500,000 range was still the third most active price range among both detached and semi-detached homes.
For sellers, it's pretty much the same story. If your home is under $400,000 and priced appropriately, depending on the location, it should sell relatively quickly. Actually, we can probably say that even for homes up to $500,000. Once we get over the $500,000 mark, don't be surprised or discouraged if it takes a little longer to sell. The median number of days on market before a home sells right now is 35. What that means is half of the homes sold in the first quarter took less than 35 days to sell, and half took more than 35 days to sell.
Interest rates continue to be a hot topic, and we're still hearing quite a bit of chatter about it, about whether or not they'll be coming down. So far, the experts are predicting the Bank of Canada will continue to hold rates when they announce next week. Now that said, in our last market update in December, we were seeing brokers offering rates in the high fives. And even though the Bank of Canada has not dropped the key interest rates, we're now seeing those same brokers offer rates in the high fours. Is that lenders trying to buy business or speculating and banking on future rates to stay ahead of the curve? It's hard to say, but either way, it may bring some buyers back to the market.
So one thing Moncton has been known for in the last few years has been the migration of people coming this way from other provinces in search of a quieter, more laid-back lifestyle and the attractive real estate prices. It's had a big impact on the trajectory of our market since 2020. It's something we get asked often in real estate conversations, whether it's on a listing appointment or just chatting with a friend or a family member asking how the market is these days. Are you still seeing a lot of people coming from other provinces? We actually did an interview with a local journalist about this very topic earlier this week. So is it still happening? The answer is yes, it is. It's still happening, just not at the same volume as during the pandemic when so many people were working from home and could do it anywhere with a phone line and a good internet connection. But we are still often working with buying clients relocating here from other provinces.
So that's where we are with the real estate market so far this year. We're ready for the spring market. If you are too and would like to partner with us to start your real estate journey in the Greater Moncton area, we'd love to hear from you. Our contact info is in the description. If you're curious about something that maybe we didn't touch on, please feel free to leave your question below and we'll be happy to answer.
We are Denise and Marc. Thanks for watching and see you next time.